Hi, hello everybody. I'm gonna give you a bit of more time to join me before I start with Kelly. I hope you're all doing well. It's nice to see you. Ciao Ana. Ovo je za nas. Dobro večer svima. Dobrodošli. Večeras ću da pričam sa Kelly, sa kojom sam pričala i prošle nedelje na temu sna naše dece i kako da ih uvedemo u rutine koje će i nama omogućiti da budemo odmorni i pozitivni roditelji. Ja ću se naravno osvrnuti na sve ovo što ću pričati sa Kelly, hvatat ću svoje beleške za vreme razgovora, tako da ću pričati naravno kasnije kao što sam to uradila i svaki prošli put. Prevešću vam sve na srpskom i imat ćete sve informacije. Ćao za Maju. Kremić. Hello everybody. I was just summarizing how we are going to do this live. There was lots of interest in Kelly's expertise on how to train our children to sleep and to get into a good routine for the children that are 24 months old and older, which was for me was very surprising. I have to say, I was expecting it to be from 6 to 12 months, or from 12 plus to be the top choices of the parents, because that's when we are losing our minds. But I'm surprised that older children are also struggling. So I can understand how desperate every parent is who has struggled for 2 years or 3 years to have their children finally sleep. So hats off to every parent who has survived those years, and let's find the solution tonight. Kelly, can you please send me text so that I can call you in? Hello, Dalia. I hope I pronounced it well. Čestitam što ste... Okay. Hi, Sleepy Stars Ireland. I'm calling you in. We're going live with Kelly. And just for everybody to know, I will switch off the comments so that we can focus on the conversation, and you can always send your... Hello. I was just explaining, I'm going to turn off the comments so that we can see you better, and then they can send the questions in the form at the background, and then I'll read it at the end when you finished giving us the pointers. Okay. So how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. My sleepy stars have went to bed.
Good stuff.
And so that's fantastic. And how about your sleepy stars?
Most of them, we've a few being sleep trained at the moment, but the ones who are sleep trained are all good. And a few open cases, they're not ready for sleep training yet, but we'll get there. And actually,
what makes us ready for it?
So ready means that their routine is in the right place, their comfort teddy's in the right place, and we have practiced the bedtime routine, but we leave the very last part that we exit the room until they're ready for that, and then we do it. So we practice all the other parts first, and when they're ready, then we actually do sleep training. So they're not being sleep trained right now, they're just practicing their sleep cues and associations. So I might have a 2.5-year-old right now, and Mammy's lying with them. But this time next week, Mammy will say, night, night, love you, and walk out the room, and then re-enter and walk out the room. So
you set up a routine. So first, when you are starting to work with parents, you first realize, you kind of ask the questions, what is happening right now? What are the routines? How does it look like? What are the children doing? Can you walk us through that so we understand a bit better what does it mean when you start sleep training?
Sure.
When we are ready for the controlled crying technique and all of these things.
Okay, so when parents contact me with this age group, sometimes they're very close to where they need to be. They already have a comfort teddy, they already have a nap in the day, even though it might be in the buggy. They have the nap in the day, they have dinner at the right time, they do a good bedtime routine. So we only need to change some things. So in a week, we can actually sleep train that child. Other parents contact me, say, I have a 2.5-year-old, and dropped the nap, never had a nap, stays up till 10 o'clock at night, you know, has dinner at 9 with us, you know, and we're looking for a
The
7.
Spanish children, I assume.
So those children we need to tweak onto a schedule that's going to be more complementary. So we might move dinner back a little bit, bring bedtime back a little bit. So you can't just do that in one night. There's no point in trying to sleep train a child at 7 o'clock if they're usually allowed up until 11 p.m. because their body clock's not set to be tired at that time. So we need to is put the body clock on a schedule that's more complementary, and then we sleep train for the last part. So parents come to me, they fill in a form, I look at the form and I see a few red flags and I say, okay, this is what I need you to do before we can move to the next step. And they're usually very good. If I say, look, you need this, or I need you to do this, they will do anything I ask them because they know it will work at the end. And that's the joy of having a consultation with them. I explain why it's so important, the things we do. If you just read a piece of paper, it might not explain the background to it, and you can't ask a piece of paper questions.
So if we are to look for help, to look for the sleep trainer, what do we need to know? What is the very important thing we need to know?
So I would always recommend to any parent to look for a sleep trainer who's worked in that category before with many children, not just one or two. Because if you do sleep training incorrectly, you can create a negative association to the bedroom environment, which means that they go crazy right before they enter the room. We don't want that. I want them to love going to bed. So make sure that the sleep trainer has worked with that category before. And also, like I, as a sleep consultant, if parents struggle in a normal world, not during a pandemic, I will offer to come over and help them and hold their hand and do it with them, because sometimes they need that extra support. They need to say, am I doing it right? And I'm right there, you know. So
how about FaceTime for that?
At the moment, we're doing FaceTime, and it can take an extra night, but it is what it is. But I know that when I sleep train in person, it's over and done with quickly, but I've been doing it for years. So the parents, it's usually their first time ever to do it. So when we do it right. We do it once and we hope never to do it again. Okay. So yeah, so I would look for a sleep consultant who's worked in that age category before and ask them what technique they use, you know, because maybe the parents tried that technique before or had a bad experience with that technique. So ask them what technique they use, and before committing to it, and be 100%, you know, that you know what you're doing, because it's a big ask and it's a commitment. You work closely together.
I have a question for this. So when you say what kind of sleep technique they use, what are there on the market? What kind of techniques are there on the market? So what are we looking at?
So there's one called Stay and Support, where you would pop the child into the cot and basically you slowly make your way out of the room. I don't use that, and the reason I don't use that is because I get a lot of parents that come to me who have tried it and failed. So what happens is eventually the child might cry in the cot, which I don't like, in the cot, fall asleep, and when they wake up, mama's not there, and that's going to create an anxiety. The technique I use, and I only use it as a last resort if the routine alone doesn't fix the night, it's a controlled cry. Okay, so the little one of this age group would cry for 20 seconds. We'd go in, we'd leave the room.
24 months plus is starting with 20 seconds.
Yeah, so we
not
start
with 13 minutes that are out there.
Yeah, we're going to start with short intervals. So in and out, in and out, in and out. So what that does, it tells the little one that we do come back, but it's not night time. Okay, and so there are time goals. I'm not going to go into the detail of the time goals because I think that will confuse parents. So, but what happens is we go 20 seconds in and out, 20 seconds in and out, 30 seconds in and out, 30 seconds in and out, slowly up. But
so each is like two times 20 seconds, two times 30. You're increasing by 10 seconds?
Yeah, we increase by 10 until we get to 1, and then we go 1 minute by 2 times, then we go 2 minutes by 2 times, 3 minutes, and we never go more than 3 minutes. Okay, so with a child of this age category,
you do half minutes, like 1.5 minutes?
No, it depends on if the child has been exposed to sleep training before, if we alter the time. So these are kind of the general. If the parent said to me, oh, I tried cry it out, which is another technique I don't use. So you just basically walk away. I don't like it. I don't use it. I don't recommend it. But if they say, Kelly, we've done cry it out about a month ago, we were desperate. That's okay. I'm delighted that you can be honest with me. It didn't work, but when we sleep train, I'm going to have to change my timings. Okay, so it just means that in a way, in a sense, they've trained the child against sleep training. Okay, so yeah,
So
so
what does that mean when you come in the room? So after 20 seconds, what do you
yeah,
do? Do you
so
pick up the child? Okay, this is now 24 plus months. Now I
yeah,
know what is it for the earlier
yeah,
age,
yeah.
but
So let me just say something. Some 24 plus children I meet are already in their big boy beds or their big girl beds. They're not always in a crib. They're
is that a
better
good
off.
thing?
Pardon?
Is that a good thing?
No, not a good thing. Okay. They have nowhere to go. If they're not potty trained at nighttime, they should, in my mind, be in a cot. They can roll around, they're not going to fall out. They have nowhere that they need to go. When I meet a parent who has a child who's already maybe in their big boy bed since 2 years old and they've been coming into the parents' bed, we try and limit the distance. So we put like a baby gate on the door so that they don't have to go all the way back from mama's room to their bed. So we limit the distance. But if they're still in a cot, that's better, so they cry out, you go to them really quickly, you're not meeting them halfway, and it's less stressful for everyone if you're doing this in a cot environment. And I will get parents to say they climb out of the cot, okay, but if you have them on the monitor and you're outside the door and you see someone's about to climb, you enter, no, lie down, sleep time. Okay, so you stop them in the act, and then they're like, "Whoa, didn't get a good reaction there." All right, but if they've already gone into the big boy bed or the big girl bed and they come to the gate, we do similar timings. We might alter it again slightly because of the environment. And I don't want a child tripping because they're tired and they're crying and they're confused. So again, the less distance, the better. So we do our timed intervals in and out to reassure the child that mommy and daddy come back, but to signal that it is sleep time. But again, this is a last resort. Sometimes the routine alone fixes everything.
So I hear you, but at the same time, I know I'm hearing a lot of parents saying, yeah, I tell him to go to bed and he still climbs out and jumps out and he's throwing tantrums and, like doing lots of, okay, I don't know. For me, that was maybe the case for the naps, not for the
Yes.
nighttime. At night, she and he are very well trained and they know that
Yes.
at night it's dark and that's it. But for the nap, I know for a fact that we are all struggling.
Yes. With the night, parents who struggle a lot with the night when they come to me, the recent history is that the child has come out of the bedroom and been allowed into the bed. So they're not being naughty. They're just really confused. They're like, no, no, no. I wake up, I scream, I go to your bed. And you're like, no, 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 back into your bed. So they're confused. So once you're consistent for a few nights in a row, that becomes the new norm. Okay, they cry out, mama comes in, lies them down, gives them their teddy, walks back out. You're no fun, but you do come back. But they also are not being taken into your bed. So it's only something that you can do when you're ready. So when I tell parents, look, after we sleep train, you can't say, oh, Saturday night, come on into my bed. That's not fair. It might be lovely, but it's not fair. And I think you were quite, consistent with nighttime, as in, no, we all sleep in our own room. So there was no confusion there.
Yeah, I had a bit of a backfall when Tara had fever. And I know that we break the cycle, we break the habit of the sleep training after 3 days, more or less.
Yes.
And her fever was, for some reason, 5 days. And I was like, since I had no one, I was alone with her, and I wanted to just help her in my bed and like just do all the necessary things to calm her down, and
Yeah.
and I loved it. I was so happy because that was the first time I slept with her, but it really backfired, and I called you straight away when I saw it happen.
I get that a lot from parents who I helped maybe when their child was 8 or 9 months, and then I get a call going, Kelly, we broke the baby, they're 2.5 and they don't get it. What happened? And it's usually travel or sickness that has offset this. Okay, I'm like, don't worry. Your child has the skill. We just need to do a little refresher, and it usually takes one night to get back on track. You know, one night of meaning business, and you're back on track. So once they have the skill, they always have the skill, but they can get confused. So my advice to parents, that when they're sick, of course, give them the loves and the cuddles that they need, but try and reduce the level of confusion. So if it's possible, if you could cuddle them in their own room rather than taking them to your room. Or what I've done when I've been traveling, if the child was sick, I still put them down to bed. If there was no room for me in their room, I would put them down to bed. Night night, love you, see you in the morning. Then when they were asleep, I'd set up the travel cot, I'd go get them, and I'd bring them into the room, and I'd have the thermometer, and I checked them. So they didn't know, they didn't call out, and I brought them into the room. I preempted that that was going to happen, and I wasn't comfortable maybe leaving them in the room all night. But the level of, so we got back on track with no sleep training, no problem.
So, but when you bring the cot in, do you also sneak out also in the morning? You return the baby back?
No, it's actually it's okay, because so you put the travel cot in your room. Okay, you go get the child when they're in a deep sleep, so you scoop them up. They might be a bit so have their little teddy beside them, have the hallway lights off, bring them into your room, put them into the travel cot, and spend the night with them, checking the temperature, giving medicine if you need to. When they wake up the next day, just don't make a big deal about it. Just go back on your day as normal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How interesting. I'm sure that lots of us didn't do that. Like tons of us. But okay, even if you do that for one night, if you don't create confusion, it's okay. Because we as parents do tend to be very scared and act out of panic rather than
Yes.
be clever in those situations.
Yeah.
And it can happen that you just decide, you know what, I'm just bringing you in. I've
Mm-hmm.
had a horrible day with you. You were shouting and screaming all day. And when,
Yeah.
I would just rather have you close to me and I
Yeah.
can get some sleep too.
Can I say another thing as well that I see with this age group, even though they're way past having a bottle, I do see this age group that when they were sick, they're like, oh gosh, they didn't eat much today. They must be hungry. Do you want a bottle? Okay. And that happens. That's okay. You know, as you said, you're desperate. So you're like, I just want to make it better. And they go get a bottle. I've had children in this age group having 4 bottles at night as a result of that. Not out of sickness. So they don't need 4 bottles to make them better. What happens is they cry, and they're like, oh, here's a bottle. And then when they're better, they still cry and look for the bottle. So if you were to say, I think my child's going to wake up hungry and I think I'm going to give them a bottle, if that happens, try preempt it. A child's never too old to do a dream feed. Scoop them up, give them a little bit of drink. So then when they wake, you kind of go, well, no, I know you're hydrated. I gave you a little feed. There's no problem there.
Since you're giving
Yes.
those very professional terms, I just have to clarify. Basically, while the baby is still sleeping, you come in and give them the bottle, and they are taking it in through the sleep, so they're not aware that you are there. That's called dream feed. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so a dream feed. So Tara had all of her feeds as a dream feed as a child. She never woke for them, which means when we were ready to drop them, she didn't miss them. Okay, so what we do with dream feeds is we try and prevent a behavioral association that they wake up, cry, and they get a bottle, because then when they're better, that association is still there, that behavior is still there. So we try to prevent that. It might happen one night that they wake up at 5 and you're like, oh, nothing is working, get a bottle. Okay, that's fine. Ask yourself the next day, is it going to happen again? If it is, it's okay. Now, couple of things. You do not give a bottle when the child is lying down. Okay, there's a possibility of aspiration where the liquid would go into the lungs rather than the stomach. So you would scoop the child up, okay, in the arms. They'd probably be like, what's going on? Okay, you can offer the bottle, like, oh, this is a lovely dream, I got a bottle. They can wake up a little bit during it, you know,
But
but
they
don't.
forget.
Yeah, exactly. They forget because we initiated it. So people think dream feed, oh, it's a force feed. It's not a force feed. You're offering it because you think it's going to be needed. And for them, they don't remember.
Okay. Another thing, I don't know if I'm jumping. You let me know if this is
No,
coming
no,
up
you're good.
later on. But since I'm thinking of bottles, and also I know for a fact that some kids at that age are still having their doo-doo. Is that doo-doo? How
Soother, I call them a
soother?
dodie.
Okay. So what do we do about that? Because I'm sure many parents would try, but they don't know how to get rid of that.
Yeah, I would say the first thing would to do is to reduce the use of it during the day. They don't need it during the day walking around playing with their toys. They don't need it. They need to speak. They need to communicate. It does offer comfort, but it can be, the older they are, it can be trickier to take it away. So I would go back to what we spoke to before. Offer a substitute comfort. So a little teddy at this age. So a little monkey about, I'm going to say from your elbow to your wrist. Okay, so something that size, little monkey, little doggy, little horsey, whatever they're into, and go crazy about this new toy. Bring them to the park, bring them to bed, bring them for bedtime stories, bring them for lunch. Really create a positive association with it. Your child at the beginning will be like, what's going on? Okay, but if you go crazy for, we'll call monkey, if you go crazy for monkey, they are going to follow your lead. You're like, let's play hide and seek with monkey, let's, have, make monkey some lunch. They will follow your lead, so they'll begin to associate it as a little friend. Okay, reduce the use of the soother only to sleep times. And anytime you do offer the soother, little monkey is there, their little snuggy teddy is there. Then when you're ready, when they've had a little bond, which can take anything from like 10 days to a month, it really depends on the energy that you put into it. So when they're ready, then you can take the soother away. All right. If a child is near the 3 year old age, you can explain things. Okay, we can actually do a visual swap. Okay, when in a normal world, I tell parents, go to your local toy store, mommy, daddy, child, go to the local toy store. Mommy or daddy run in, find a lady in the toy store and say, hi, I've got a child, I'm going to swap the dodie for a toy and I'll pay for you. So the child visually sees the toy being exchanged for the dodie. So it's not in the house like, bye dodie, I got my toy. Now when they go home, they're like, dodie, dodie. You're like, no, you got a toy, remember, you got a toy. After 2 or 3 days, it's gone, it's forgotten about. Absolutely. A younger child, you might have to sleep train them to get them off it at nighttime, because their brain connects going to sleep with sucking on the dodie. So we then have to teach the brain how to sleep without sucking on the pacifier.
Okay, I got it. So 3 days should be enough for the older children from 3. If
Yes.
we do the visual, all kind of theater play with a new toy, and then
Yes.
for the younger children, we might need to sleep train them. But first, we reduce during the day. We introduce a substitute, and then during the night, we are offering. But then slowly, once we feel we are ready, we
Yeah.
start the sleep training,
Yes,
which is the
exactly.
20 seconds, 30
Yes.
seconds,
Yeah.
etc. Okay, so what do we do with the children who are not jumping out of cot, but they are shouting and screaming? I am thirsty. I am cold. I am warm. Mommy, I am afraid. Mommy, all these excuses because the kids are really good at speaking what makes
I
them
know.
upset.
I'm always impressed when I do sleep training with this age group and I'm outside the room with the parents and I hear it all. I'm like, I'm afraid, I'm hungry. And they don't focus on one thing. They go through their words. I'm like, wow, they have great vocabulary, and great imagination. So I would say try to tick all the boxes before bedtime. So tick the hunger box. So make a point of when they've had dinner to say, oh, well done, your tummy's full. When you're putting the pajamas on, point, look, your tummy's full. You don't need anything else. Tick. Okay. Then you might do you want to drink water? Okay, no more water. Tick. Okay, what else? Are we afraid of monsters? What monsters? Where are they? I'll have a look behind the curtain. Let me see. No, no monsters there. Okay, what you don't do is say, I'll throw the monsters out the window, because then you're acknowledging that there's monsters. Okay, you lift the curtain or open the drawer. No, just smelly socks. Nope, nothing in there. What else? Tick. Okay, so anything that you think they're going to say, try and eliminate it before bedtime. Okay, because they will. So if they say, I'm thirsty, you can say, no, you're not. I gave you a drink. I'm hungry. Nope, we had dinner. Okay, so we've done it all.
Okay, so I'd like to use an opportunity to share an interesting, well, I kind of shared it with you, but my experience with Tara recently, because we tried to see what we are going to do with the nap, given that she's very active during the nap time. And what was interesting, whenever we tried to make a routine out of something, because one day it works, the second
Yeah.
day I try all the same and it doesn't work. She just figures it out that we are trying to kind of make her comply with a certain category. And I get so frustrated because now I know we agreed that I'm going to do 1 hour of quiet time with her,
Mhm.
but I'm all the time coming in thinking, okay, she's gonna fall asleep, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. And then it's like, because 1 hour is the sleep time, the nap time that we want to do, and it's 45 minutes and I'm like, she's almost there, should I let her like 15-20 minutes? And then the child resurrects, you know.
Yeah, comes back. Yeah,
So
yeah,
in a way the children know how to um, this is the thing, when is the right time to stop? What are the clues that our child is giving to us? Because sometimes we give up as parents because we feel we are out of solutions.
yeah.
And I know you gave me solutions, but I feel like I've been in the room with her, I've been doing all the songs and, you know, not songs, but whatever we've discussed, and she will sleep when she's tired, and she will definitely not sleep when she doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And there's
Well,
nothing we can do.
if she's not ready to sleep, we can't force her to sleep. Okay. So I think we really offered the opportunity to sleep by mimicking nighttime, and it wasn't working, which means she had enough energy to resist it, which means she, could go without it. All right. If she um turned down the nap, didn't accept the nap when it was offered, but yet at 5:30 in the evening she was so tired and so cranky and testing boundaries, you're like, no, I need this nap, we would probably try again. But the fact that she can make bedtime with just quiet time, that's okay, as long as it's not going to impact her nights. Okay,
Mhm.
so we can't force her to sleep, we can offer the opportunity, but I would offer it. Maybe do a bit of sleep training, but don't go to town on it, don't go crazy with it, you'll make the bedroom a horrible place. That will then transfer to the night. Offer it. If it doesn't happen, okay, let's just do quiet time. Don't stress her out. Your priority is your nights. If she takes it some days, great. If she doesn't take it, great. We've accepted that. So as long as she's able to recharge her battery, she's not able to go from morning to bedtime, go, 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 go. Okay, she will just, by the evening time, she won't be a pleasure to be around. Okay,
Yeah.
so, and she's gonna test boundaries, and it's not her fault. She got overtired. So offer the opportunity. So how you kind of know when you're at that point is you offer it, you offer it, you offer it. If they don't take it, give them quiet time instead until they can go morning to evening without the quiet time.
And do you think we can say, for instance, she's okay to do 3 days in a row of no sleep and no nap, but then I feel she's catching up with, you know, she's tired. So fourth day would be a good idea to have a nap. But
Well, I would say offer the quiet time, and if she takes the nap in that quiet time, there's your nap. But don't sleep train for it, okay? Because we've decided that we're just going to offer quiet time. If I'm doing quiet time with a child who's lingering between dropping the nap and keeping it, and I'm not sure, if one day they have like a little, oh, I can't stay awake because the morning was crazy, they were swimming or running or whatever, then that's okay. They kind of took it themselves. And if they don't, and they're full of chat and they don't want it, we can't force them to have it. But what we can do is encourage them to have a little bit of downtime. And I think all age groups need a little bit of downtime throughout the day.
true. Well, I have now I'm still having a hard time giving up on her nap, but I still turn down the lights, like it's dark, pitch dark actually, and she's in her cot and I'm in the bed next to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say, okay, we'll lay down a bit and we'll listen to a story.
Yeah.
I told you I found the app that is, what is it? Moshi? Mushling? Something like that.
I don't know
Basically, they are reading a story in a very soothing voice.
it.
I fell asleep 2 times for her, and she woke me up. So I thought it was really, really well done. But then again, kids can, you know, disagree with that.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that helped. And then, as I said, like 2 times she would fall asleep, the third time, no way. And
Hmm.
so there is no, I guess we just have to accept that our children are different and that even though there are certain norms, like Stefan was sleeping and he can still sleep every once in a while in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But for instance, at 3 years old, actually, a lot of nurseries or not nurseries but kindergartens are
Yeah.
saying that children should drop the sleep because they are going to spend the whole day in school. So
Yeah. I do find that with daycare, a lot of them encouraged, and they need to drop the nap to make the most out of their day. But then what happens is when you pick up your child, you get a child who's like, whoa, ready to finish their day. And you may pick them up at 5 o'clock, and they might have still needed their nap around 1 o'clock for even an hour, and they 40 minutes an hour, and they don't have that in daycare. Now they probably have quiet time in daycare. I've worked in daycare before, and most of them in that age group will have quiet time, but they don't allocate a nap. They don't say, okay, we're going to have a lie down, so they've dropped the nap. So I would say to parents in that situation, be very aware of your child when you pick them up from daycare. They've basically been in Disneyland all morning or all afternoon, and when they come home, if you're like, yay, let's play, let's do this, let's run around, that can be too much for them, and then they'll struggle to settle into a lovely sleep at bedtime.
okay, got it. um Siblings. So
Yes.
we have a perfect child until the sibling arrives, and then all of a sudden everything goes cuckoo. How do we introduce a sibling to a child, and how do we deal with those moments of fights and shouts and different routines and, well,
Everything that comes with it. So introducing the sibling is important. What I wouldn't do is tell them way far in advance. Okay, they don't need to know mama's maybe 3 months pregnant. Okay, maybe around the 6 to 8 months we can start to say baby's coming, because if you're talking about baby for months and months and months and they're like, what are they talking about? What's going on here? So I wouldn't, and some children can get a bit anxious. They're like,
that depends on the age, right? If
it
this is
depends
this
on,
age 24 plus, then
yeah,
let's say for the 2-year-olds, that's too soon. For three
that
year
that
olds, they could probably understand it already.
exactly, yeah. So early twos, I wouldn't even acknowledge it until a couple of weeks before, and I'd probably get a little dolly, and child, even doesn't have to be boy, girl, whatever. Mommy has a dolly, they have a dolly. We are gentle hands with dolly, so we try and do a little bit of preparation to teach like gentle hands, because sometimes they can just smother them with love. Baby sister, baby brother, or just you might get the odd kind of, I'm not sure. Okay, and they don't know how to react. I would say when baby comes home, obviously there's going to be a little bit, they were your one and only, and now they're sharing the attention. So work on a little bit of independent play before baby comes down, and also work on patience. Okay, so if you're making dinner and they're like pulling out, you go, okay, I'll be over in a minute to play with you. So you don't just start that behavior when the baby arrives home going, no, I'm feeding baby, I'll be a minute. So you've already kind of started working on a little bit of patience before. I will come and play with you, and just going to wait. I just have to do this, and then and be true to your word. If you say you're going to go play, go play. Okay, so and then when the child comes home, obviously a lovely introduction. Sometimes it's lovely to give a present from new brother and sister. The younger children won't really get that. That's fine. The older children will associate, oh, you got me a present, you're nice. Okay, so that's a nice way when you bring baby home. And now, with the fightings, it depends on the age gap, okay? But older children can be very protective of their toys because they never had to share them before. So going to things like play groups, the park, playgrounds, allowing children to be digging in the sand with a shovel, and someone comes and takes their shovel, that's a life lesson just there. We go over, we explain, it's okay, that little boy just wanted to play. So you get them used to that, because that's going to happen a lot. Okay, if it's a shock to the system, they'll just be like, mama, send that back, I don't want that in the house, they're my toys. Okay, so I'd expose them to those. If your friends have young children, children can be sensitive, and if they hear a new baby crying a lot, and babies can cry, they can get a little bit, "Oh, that's new." Okay, so maybe if they are going to like play groups, and daycare sometimes have the baby room close to the older room, that they will hear the children crying. It's not really anything super new to them, so they'll accept it easier.
Okay. All right. Well, I've heard also a lot of parents would start letting the child work certain things with them in terms of the routine. So maybe bring the bottle, or
Yeah,
help me with the book, or help me with the blanket, or things
yeah,
like that are not but big jobs. And then you praise them a lot for being such big help. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I
exactly.
know parents do know those tricks, but sometimes we're not consistent enough.
Yes,
We do it once and twice, and then we get very, very upset that the child has been rough and
yeah.
tough, and we think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
I actually, I have to put it in here, and it might not be according to your rules, but I know it
Mhm.
helped me a lot with my way of thinking. Is one of my teachers have shared with me that when they arrive, they're ready. They know already who their family is because they chose us. So they will be ready for some rough time to be
Yes.
introduced to the family. So in a way, they've chosen us, and we have to understand that they knew what's going to happen. In a way, they already
Yeah.
saw the outlook. And I thought, like, okay, well, if Tara knows that Stefan is this kind of brother, she also knows how to get him to, better, or she knows why she chose him as a brother.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when my teacher saw Tara, he was like, she's a tough one. Don't worry about her. And that really helped me. But I know a lot of kids are tough. So it's just us parents that we are the ones who don't feel comfortable. And I know for a fact that my parents were literally killing themselves when they saw me and my sister battle. It was a horrible thing that every parent has to witness their children fighting. I
Yes.
think those were the questions that I also got before this live. So, what do you do when your kids start picking up on each other? And
Okay, so I would try with separate age groups. I would try and allocate a little bit of individual time. And yeah, you're right with the giving them jobs, like 24 months plus. Love to have a job, love to feel helpful, love to get praise. So could you put that over there for me? Oh, thank you so much. You're great. I'd be lost without you. Brilliant, fantastic. Give them praise, and again, be consistent. If it's their job, it's their job. Okay, but pick one that's not going to backfire. If you're sitting down and you're breastfeeding and you say, "Can you turn on the light for mama? It's gone a bit dark." You've now asked your child to turn on a light switch. Are they going to be allowed to do that in every room in their bedroom? So be careful of the jobs that you ask them to do. Think it before you ask. Okay, so little jobs, maybe if they're looking for your attention, go, "Can you go get the toy that we're going to play with after this feed?" Great, fantastic. I can't wait. Be excited about it. When they're fighting, it is part of life. All right, I'm a twin. We had lots of fights. Okay, so when they're fighting, I would say address it. Say for example, they're fighting over a toy. Okay, so the older child is obviously going to have a lot more understanding than the little one. So I would probably go to them first. Go, no, we don't hit. So try and, if they're in the moment, it's happening right there. Okay, you can say, "We don't do that." Okay, but we do this. This is lovely. Can you show me how you? Oh, I love that. So pay more attention to the positive than the negative. Don't say, "That's. I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you did." I can't. And 5 minutes later, you're still talking about it. No. All right. So address it. Go, "We don't hit. No, we share. Did she take your toy? But she's just a baby. Yeah, she's a baby. I tell you what, do you want this one? Because she's too little for this one. This is a special one for you. Okay, and don't hit again. All right, we be nice, gentle hands, and on we go."
okay, got it. Anything else we should know? Maybe for the sleeps, we jumped off when the babies have different routines for sleep. So you've suggested we should not introduce too soon the arrival of the sibling. We should assign a certain duty to the child, and
Yeah.
introduce them to different children so that they know how to share. But for instance, when you are supposed to, when the older child or the younger child wakes the older child and things like
Okay.
that, how do you
Yeah.
not panic in that moment? Shh, you are gonna wake your brother, it's a nightmare.
Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of parents who call me back for child number two, they're like, oh gosh, is baby going to wake this one? I'm like, your child, no, the first child is sleep trained. So when they wake up and hear a bit of crying, they'll probably go, and go back to sleep. So that's fine. If you have two
I
children,
have to say yes to that.
yeah.
It's true. Stefan is really good about that.
Yeah. So so they actually just send it into the background. And I work a lot with twins and triplets, and parents, do we need separate rooms? No. If you want to keep them together, they kind of have to block that out. Yes, they'll wake up, they'll acknowledge it, they'll know there's nothing seriously wrong, and they might have a bit of a shout and go back asleep when they're sleep trained. So I often get parents who their home environment doesn't allow for separate rooms. So the baby goes from the parents' room in with the sibling. Okay. I have some reservations about that, just in case like your sibling wants to play one night and throws a dangerous toy into the cot, so I really have to judge your older child's level of understanding. Always have a visual monitor there if that is the case, and think about it before you make that move. If baby's teething, okay, getting a lovely present on their gums, are they going to wake up the older child who's a beautiful sleeper? Okay, so you kind of have to, and that's where your travel cost can kind of come in, that you would put them both to bed and you go, we're just going to take the baby. I'm going to bring the baby into my room just because they're teething and they're probably going to wake up. So so you can integrate a younger child, around the 6 month mark if you wanted to an older child. If it's done properly, you won't have any issues.
So when you say a travel, I'm just trying to imagine myself. So my baby sleeps in a normal bed, but then I use the travel cot for my bedroom and I scoop the child and bring it to while they're sleeping.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like I put her in the travel cot that night and then I take the cot and the baby.
No. You set it up. You just scoop the baby.
I would have done the more difficult part, for sure. I would have probably knock the door down
and house in the middle of the night. No, you put baby to bed, baby and the older child. So you say night, love you. Everyone goes to sleep. They have their little routine, and then when baby's asleep, scoop baby up. And again, your older child is asleep, so they're not going, where are you going? You're going to mommy's bed and I'm not. Okay, so so you're limiting confusion there. If the older child wakes up and goes, they just woke up 2 minutes ago and they just come into my room. So don't make a big deal about it. There's something else that I was going to, now it's gone. I can't remember.
So we were saying, if the baby is not sleep trained, is there any like stages before the sleep training that we should take into consideration for the siblings sleeping together?
I wouldn't integrate a child who's not a good sleeper to a child that is a good sleeper. Okay, because you're going to have two bad sleepers if you do that.
But I have two good sleepers, and then when they join together, the little one just gets too excited and she just won the party.
Then that can happen, and it's okay to have a few chats at night. So if I put twins down or siblings down and they're like la 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 and they're saying all their words and talking about the doggy or reciting what they've done that day, that's lovely, that's fine, but you put a limit on it. So I would probably go in.
What's the limit? Tell me.
So I'd probably go in after 10 minutes and go, guys, it's time to sleep. Okay, then I would probably go in after 5 minutes and take it up a notch. Guys, it's time to sleep. Okay, they will either roll over and go asleep or they will escalate and you can deal with them. So I would let them have the chat because that's lovely and it makes the room a lovely place, but not until 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry.
Well, I have a contra saying, I don't know, I probably translated from Serbian to English and it doesn't make sense. Sorry, guys. Basically, I very much know this little girl who Stefan tells her, Tara, it's time to sleep. And she just doesn't, and he falls asleep and she's partying in her room, in her cot, like playing with her hands and like making sure it's all, and then I think it's because she is used to sleeping in the pitch dark room. She still doesn't have this fear of light. And Stefan likes his night light to be on because he's afraid. And so when they were sleeping together, he was panicking if I would switch off the lights. Okay. So I had to leave a little bit light on. And when she sees her hands at night, it's like, oh.
Yeah, she's in the nightclub. She's having a party.
Oh, and she can go on and on and
Yeah, so if she's not used to being in that environment, that's something that you would think about before you change them. If your older child has a night light on, and I only use a night light at night if the child is potty trained so that they don't walk into the wardrobe so that they can see where they're going. I don't use a night light beforehand because it is a reason for the brain to activate. Okay, so when they come into that light sleep and the eyes are flickering, if their eyes can then focus on something, their brain may completely activate. Then you have to start your sleep cycles all over again, which some children can struggle with.
I see. Okay. Because she does like to replicate everything he has in his room. She has to has exactly the same and
Mm-hmm.
do exactly the. So where is my light? Where is my this? And
when
okay, it's
when
interesting
when
how you, I'm sure you've seen it all. I mean,
I've seen most of it. I occasionally I do get a few kind of okay, I've seen this before, but that's okay. And I think that's okay to admit. Like I've been doing this for many years, and every now and again something pops up, and I'm like, well, they didn't react the way I thought they'd react, or that didn't work. That's okay. We find what works. All right. So we might go to like plan C before we get there, but we do get there.
so in a way, I kind of have to make a conclusion and say that in every aspect of our life, we have to be flexible and adaptable, and that's exactly the thing we're going to be using for our small children. Be
Absolutely.
flexible, try it all, and think. Even if you did try it all, how long should you test certain things before you
Yes.
give up on them? This is a
Yeah.
good question.
Well, and that's a lot of parents will say, no, I tried that. No, we did the reward chart for 2 days. So if you're going to try something, it's almost like a lifestyle change. Give it real energy, give it a good try. Don't just throw in the towel after 2 days. Give it 5 days and see. That's a good kind of judgment to see if your child will respond to it. And if you start to see little improvements, then you know you're on the right direction. You still might need to tweak it a little bit, but you know that you're getting a positive response from it. So I have a program now, it's for younger children. It's called Let's Get Started. And the younger children, maybe 3, 4 months old, have no routine, and parents like, oh, I'm going back to work. I have to, I want my good nights, la, la, la. It will take the child 2 weeks to reset the body clock. So I actually don't do a follow-on call until 2 weeks later, because if I ring them in a week, they're like, oh my God, this is crazy. After 2 weeks, they're like, it just clicked. Fantastic. Okay. But if I rang them too early, and I do explain them to them, it might feel like it gets worse before it gets better, but you were kind of just winging it. And now you're kind of moving towards a routine. So your sleep might get more disruptive, or might be at the time of a developmental leap. So stick with it, and they do, and they see it come together. It's the same with older children. You can't just do it one day and expect to have like, whoo, a miracle. Like even with the nap when you were struggling, I was like, okay, try this for a few days. We don't just give up straight away. We're going to judge the response that we get and then make a good decision based on that response.
I think with the older children, what we are being completely blown away is their actual verbal way of fighting what we're doing. It's just,
Yes.
it's like you just don't have the reason to push any longer because they've given you a very valid reason. And then you go like, oh, honestly, I really need to write all these excuses or all these reasons why they don't want to sleep, because it's
Yeah.
so funny.
It's hilarious. I sitting outside rooms with children, and I hear, I'm like, what did they just say? I didn't understand. Oh, they want Bobby the Bobby book. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. That's our favorite book. And they will talk about the teacher and, the play school. They'll talk about I'm like, who's Rory? Oh, that's our neighbor. I'm like, all right. Okay. So it's great that they have that, vocabulary. But it can mean that it makes it more difficult because they're giving you, and it's pulling on your heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part. Okay,
Yeah.
did we cover most of it? Shall we? I have 53 questions waiting.
Perfect. I'm going to turn on a light. It's getting very romantic. One second.
Okay, and I'll have a look at the questions, and thank you guys for your patience. I always love to chat with Okay, I have some questions I'm gonna just first of all scroll to the first questions that were sent because these ones are the fresh ones. What if a 1.5-year-old child has problem with night sleep, never slept all night? Okay, this was not, we are talking now about 24 months and plus, so I'd like to address those questions. And then we will make another
Yeah.
live for this particular group, because we're going to cover, Kelly has been so wonderful that she really wants to help out as much as she can. Of course, she cannot physically reach every parent, but this is a nice way. And thank
It
you,
is.
for this. Okay, how do I wean my toddler off their comforter that they won't go to sleep without? I think we covered that question, right?
So if the comforter is a blanket, or is the comforter like, I think the comforter, the way I think of it, is the blanket or the teddy rather than the soother. If the comforter is not impacting their sleep, then I would leave it there, but they just have it at nighttime. So if you leave it in the crib, night nights, or see you later, you're going to mind our crib, bye bye, it's no problem. But if a child is having a comforter that they decided they want to suck on, and it's affecting the smile and the parents are concerned, I would say swap that out with maybe something that's a little bigger rather than something like a blanket that they would suck on. So again, get the substitute ready and then bye bye comforter, but we have this new friend.
Mm-hmm. I had so interestingly, a lot of parents have told me that if my child has a one toy that they really like, the one teddy, I need to buy extra few, because if that teddy goes away for some reason, it's gonna be a nightmare. And
Yeah.
honestly, I had like 6 of them. And I think you remember when I was panicking and ordering online, and they ran out of it, and then I had to switch to another one, and it was a bit of a trauma for me, because of all the travel. Our doo-doos kind of go all
Yes.
dirty, and so it's good to have two at least to switch when they are washing them.
Yeah, so that they don't get attached to the one that gets a lot of wear and tear. Make them all even. So like on a Friday, switch them. I actually recommend 3. So one for like the bedroom environment, one if you are traveling, you need it in the buggy, or if you're napping out and you want to use it then, and one spare on a cupboard. If your child has a vomiting bug, you're going to go through them. You know, they vomit, it's going to go everywhere. At least you have 3. And get
Okay.
them the same. Don't get like a pink one and a purple one and a yellow one. Get them the same. It will save arguments later on. Mammy, I don't want yellow, I want pink. You're like, pink's in the wash. Okay, so get them all the same so that you don't have that argument.
Okay, good. Good answer. And I'll see now. Okay, so what if okay, now this is going to be maybe a surprising question for you.
Okay.
My baby associates breastfeeding with sleep. How do I break that cycle? Can I get toy as a soother? I guess this is for younger children, but it could be 24 months plus, because I know a lot of moms who are really pushing further and further now, the breastfeeding and the bond with their child. So maybe it's a nice topic as well to. Some moms are sleeping with their babies as well, and they are offering on demand, basically.
Yeah. So when mom decides that, okay, you know, I don't want to do on demand anymore, we're both a little bit cranky the next day, it's affecting our sleep, and they decide to move away from the feeding on demand at night, you know, there is potentially a hunger habit in place at night. So you can't just stop breastfeeding. Your child may actually be hungry, even though most moms will say, oh, they only have a little snack, a little soothe and they go away, a little soothe and they go away. If I was to eat a packet of cookies, a cookie and go away, a cookie and go away, and then one night not have my packet of cookies, I'd be hungry. I'd miss my cookies. So you cannot just stop breastfeeding. What you try and do is control the feeds that you have in preparation for stopping breastfeeding. And also, yes, you can, and please do use like a Snuggie teddy, a little teddy with the blanket. Every time Baba goes on the breast, the Snuggie teddy is part of that to create that positive association. So, and I had one wonderful mom in San Francisco with a 2.5-year-old, still breastfeeds the child, and a lovely mom recently with a 2-year-old here, still breastfeeds the child, but not on demand anymore. So we do it at certain times, so there's no confusion. So we might do it in the morning, we might do it right before the big nap, we might do it at bedtime, but we don't do it at other times. So then again, we're reducing the level of confusion. And I help a lot of moms go from feeding on demand to feeding on a routine, because it's what they want. You know, I will only ever do what a mom wants. And sometimes they kind of go, I see how much they eat in the day. I feel like I am a comfort, not a feed, but I'd like to give them another comfort and teach them how to go to sleep without having to go in the boob. And sometimes they want to have another child, or it's just affecting the way they are during the day. So whatever the reason is, it can be done. But yes, please do offer a comfort toy to create a positive association. And then, and only then, when your day is in a good place and you have the positive association in place, you can sleep train.
Okay, good to know those things. Well, it's I'm sure it's very tough because moms who choose to breastfeed for such a long time and who are able to is because they have created such a strong bond with the child that they feel like they're it's not always the milk that they're offering, but this soothing, and
The
they don't
comfort.
feel like it's okay to reject when the child is requiring such.
Yes. Yeah. I see the moms that I deal with the older children who are doing this. I had one mom who said to me a little while ago, she goes, Kelly, I can't even walk into the kitchen. The child is like pulling out of me. And I know it's just comfort. They'll go on for a second and go off. And then I feel like, that I'm denying them because I'm saying, no, I'm making the dinner, or no, I'm, getting my jacket on. I need to go to the shop. I don't, but then the next time they're like, oh, it's raining out. Come on up, have a little feed. That's very confusing for the child. So if you have like the one chair in the sitting room that's your breastfeeding chair, try and avoid that at other times if you can, to reduce the level of confusion, and try and do it at the same times during the day so that they don't expect it at random times, on demand during the day in preparation for helping at night.
Good, good, all the good advices. I'm trying to get rid of this question so that I can see your face, and it keeps turning my camera. And I'm like, well, I'm so sorry because it keeps disappearing, but I would like to just, okay, it doesn't matter. I'll choose another one and then they won't stop putting their teddy in their mouth. How can I wean my 2-year-old off a comforter? Okay, we've been there. Why, if they are trained, they go back so easy to their old routine with one change? That's a great question.
Okay, I wouldn't say that they go back after one change, because we can all I've made, many mistakes over the years with children, that they act one way and I change things or change my reaction out of tiredness, out of jet lag, out of whatever sickness, whatever it may be, and I don't fully act the way I should. So I'm like, okay, let's watch a cartoon, let's do this, whatever. That one off, you can backpedal very quickly. It's when it happens a few times that now you've created something new, and it's more difficult to get back on track. But if your child has the skill to go to sleep, they're always going to have the skill to go to sleep. You might need to give them a little bit of a refresher to
This is me trying again, sorry.
Oh, no, no worries. So you might need to give them a little bit of a refresher of how to do it, but try not to confuse them then again. If you feel like, okay, that's what led to this, try be aware of that in the future.
Okay, so in a way, we all fall off the routines. It's just the children don't know how to go back by themselves. And that's
Exactly.
why they need a refresher routine again from us, and us to be more consistent
Yeah.
for a few days. There is nothing wrong with the sleep routine. It's just that sometimes it happens to all of us that we need a few days of recovery.
Exactly.
Okay, good to know. I will probably never see your face again, Kelly, with
That's
all these
okay.
questions. I'm
You know
so
what I
sorry.
look like.
Okay, so change of time zones and baby or kid sleep. This is fantastic question because I know I needed a kind of a course on that. So how do you prepare for the time zone change, and how do you, once you arrive there, how do you, yeah.
Okay, so as you know, I've traveled the world for years with children in different roles, and what I've learned was you will plan the flight. You're like, going to go on a night flight, everyone's going to sleep, and we're going to get there, and you will be delayed. Okay, there's some things that you cannot plan. There'll be fog, so don't over plan the journey. Plan what happens when you arrive at your destination. So if you were, for example, to go from London to Australia, there's a big time difference there. When you land and you get to your hotel or your villa or wherever it is you're staying, your Auntie Mary's, when you get there, look at the time and say, okay, it's 3 o'clock here, local time. What do we normally do at 3 o'clock on our usual time. Try and get on to the new time zone as soon as possible. Okay. Now, if you're calculating, you're like, oh, I think they're going to wake up at 2 in the morning because at 2 in the morning here is dinner time back home. Use a dream feed. I've done it for years to get children onto routine. I had twins that I worked with, and we went from London to Australia, and in 3 days they were on Australian time. When
No
we,
way.
honest to God, okay, and then when
I'm
we,
never on 3 days. Come on,
I
Australia is
had
the
to set,
hardest.
I had to set my alarm to go in to feed them, and I'm really, really bad at math, so I was like trying to figure out what. Okay, I think they're going to wake up hungry. I'm just going to do this. And I go in with a little 4 ounce little dream feed to try and preempt it. And so, and then by working on the body clock, and also by doing loads of activity like swimming and in the park and loads of things that get their naps in the right place. So try and do that. When we came back from Australia to London, it took us 5 days to get back onto London time. Now, the books will tell you for every hour difference that you travel, it takes a day to get back on track. Not necessarily. Now, I'm going to be honest, the children were on a great routine. I was exhausted, okay, but I could get the
That's
children. So,
always the case. I'm sorry to
yeah,
say.
so I just say, don't plan your journey, okay, as in, like, don't try and, like, be a magician on your journey, because I've flown on private jets and even private jets get delayed, okay. Don't plan your journey. When you get to your destination, go, what should we be doing right now? Now, it can offset a little bit because usually on a journey we give extra snacks just to keep the journey peaceful. So maybe they're not really hungry for that dinner, so maybe push, if it's normally a 5:30 dinner, push local time 5 to 6, because they've had loads of snacks on the journey. So you can move it like slower. But just be aware as well, when you're on your journey, don't over snack if you feel like you're going to land at dinner time in your location. So that's my best advice. As soon as you get to your location, look at the watch and try and get on local time.
Okay, and if they wake up early, then you kind of just
If they wake up early,
use some
try and
slow
stretch them.
activities.
Yeah, use quiet time if needed to stretch them onto the local time. If you're going long distance with a young child, please go for more than a week. Don't go long distance for a week. Leave them with someone at home, okay? If you're only going like 2-3 hours difference, 4 hours, no problem. Bring them for a week, 10 days. But just be aware, like, you might have, depending on your destination, I find coming back home is trickier to get back on track, but it can happen in a couple of days if you put the effort in.
Okay. Kelly, since I can't see your face, please can you come up a little bit?
I can't.
Okay.
I'm too
I'm
short.
sorry. I just want to say thank you so much for
Easy now.
these yeah, I can see you. Fantastic. I'm so sorry because I keep trying to turn off these questions and they are not disappearing. Maybe it's
That's
a glitchy app. Thank you. I'm going to save this video and share it with the rest of the world because I know how much it will help them. I will also translate it in Serbian. I have some notes and I will share it in Serbian too. So you've reached a few countries more.
Perfect.
And then we can schedule another one for the younger children. In case we've missed out a few things, we can always add to it because I know how wonderful what you're doing and how efficient that is. So every parent will benefit from all the advices.
Thanks very much, and thank you for allowing me to use your platform to reach other parents, because I'm so busy, so booked, I can't possibly help all the people who are looking for help. My last word would just be, do not sleep train unless your day is complementary to your nights, because it won't work and it'll stress out your child. And have something, a positive comforter there to offer something, and only do it when you're ready. When you're ready, the child is ready, but do it at the right moment when their day is in a good place.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, it was lovely to talk to you again.
Lovely talking to you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, well, I hope this worked well. Okay, disappeared. Clicked it a million times. I hope this was a great experience, and I am going to now end this live and start another short one just so that I can cover everything for Serbian community. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you very much for staying with us. and have a good sleep. I hope your kids sleep all night. Bye.